Smoking Joe Frazier versus Tyson Fury, going out to Manuel Gallego. So, who wins this fight? Let's get into it. We know right off the bat that Tyson Fury has a significant size advantage, a significant reach advantage, and probably a significant strength and power advantage. It's just the way that it is. As far as Smoking Joe, of course, he has more experience, has fought the better level of opposition. And back then, he fought during an era to where if you were going to be considered one of the best, you had to fight the other best. Wasn't any ducking or dodging or only fighting once a year. I mean, you had to earn it back then. And so that's one thing that Frazier would have working in his favor. And despite the size advantage for Tyson Fury, Joe Frazier's body shots could be problematic for Fury. They could be problematic for Fury. I believe that Frazier would have a speed advantage as he tries to apply pressure to Fury, and just Joe Frazier would just attack the body. And Fury's not in the worst condition, but in order to take those shots to the body from Frazier, you had to be in tip-top condition. So heavyweights of today, they're just bigger. They're just more powerful. It's the way that it is. In recent years, heavyweights have just gotten bigger. So this is an interesting fight with a lot of factors, with a lot of variables. So let's get into it. As great as Smoking Joe Frazier was, as much as fans loved him, as many great fighters and champions that Joe Frazier has fought, we can't ignore the size advantage of Tyson Fury. We just can't. It does play a factor. And I believe as far as tools in the tool belt, as far as attributes, Tyson Fury has more tools in the tool belt and more attributes. I can't believe I just said that, but it's the truth. As great as Joe Frazier was, his game was pressure fighting. His game was pressure fighting, getting on the inside, wreaking havoc on the inside, not to mention Joe Frazier's killer left hook. He probably had the best left hook in the history of boxing. And he floored Ali in their second fight with that left hook. And how Ali got up from that shot is beyond me. But whatever that left hook touches, that left hook basically destroys. So that's something that Tyson Fury would have to look out for. Two things that Tyson Fury would have to look out for: the body shots and the left hooks. Now, with that being said, Tyson Fury could easily nullify those things with his size, his reach, his power, and his strength. And one thing I'm always saying that styles makes fights. As much as we love certain fighters, we may have our favorite fighters, but we really have to consider those stylistic factors and realities. We have to really think about things like a fighter's strengths, weaknesses, advantages, and disadvantages, and how the other person with their strengths and advantages can expose or exploit their opponent's weaknesses and disadvantages. Sometimes it's not as simple as who's the better fighter, or who's my favorite fighter, or who's the bigger star, because you really can't take those things inside of the ring with you. So we really have to factor in those things. And as I mentioned previously, modern heavyweights are so much bigger than past heavyweights. And so when we put them in the ring together in these hypothetical settings, we really have to think about those things and be honest about those things. Now, could Frazier give Fury some problems? Of course. I mean, I mentioned that with the body punching and the left hook. But what's the likelihood of Joe Frazier pushing a guy Tyson Fury's size back, keeping him on the back foot, and being able to be physical with him? Smoking Joe was a small heavyweight to begin with. He was a good heavyweight. He was a quick heavyweight. But think about this. What's the likelihood that he'll actually be able to bully Fury around that ring? Be honest with yourself. It's not probable that he'll be able to do that. What's the likelihood of Joe Frazier getting inside of Tyson Fury's reach? I just don't see it. Now, if he's able to, he'll have a hell of a time getting close to Fury. But the only fight that Frazier could win against Fury is an inside fight. Is to get close, get on the inside, get inside of his reach, hit him to the body in hopes that Tyson Fury's head would come down and he could possibly catch him up top with a devastating left hook. Anything is possible. This is boxing. But we see the way Tyson has used his size in his last two fights. Now, let's say that Sugar Hill is training him for this fight against Frazier. So all the advantages go to Fury in this particular matchup. Now, I'm trying to look for any way to give this fight to Joe Frazier, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it's just respect for the legend. But when we look at this in real life terms, he's just simply too small. That's it. Doesn't mean he wasn't great. Doesn't mean he's not dangerous. But the deck is stacked against him in this fight. And it's just the truth. It's just the truth. Tyson Fury is just simply too big, too much power. And Wilder, I want to be careful here. I know how most fans feel about Wilder. But Wilder is bigger than Joe Frazier. And Tyson Fury, with his size, he tired Wilder out by doing things like leaning on the inside and just being physical with Wilder. So Tyson Fury is going to be physical with Joe Frazier. He just is. And so with Joe Frazier just being the small heavyweight that he was, and with Tyson Fury just having the size and the power and the reach that he has, I just can't get around a Tyson Fury victory, and probably by knockout. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you will. And I will see you on the next video.